I'm a freelance creative, and I'm currently finishing off my Masters at Central St Martin's. My background is in TV advertising and TV promotions. I moved to London about 6 years ago, and freelanced during that time for companies such as Red B, that's the BBC's creative arm, Sky, BDA, NTV, and Publicis, and worked on material for brands such as Walkers, Audi, Renault, Discovery, Disney, and Samsung. In 2007, I was a key member of the UK promo marketing team for Al Gore's Current TV. That gave me great insight into the power of viral marketing. In 2008, I launched Hum2, which is an online music community. It's a music marketplace and user-generated production music library. And our marketing budget, when we launched this site, was the precise sum of zilch. So that helped me refine some of my marketing skills, and I'll talk a little bit more about Hum2 a bit later on. So last year, as part of my Masters in Science Studies at St Martin's, I began a project called Pothole Gardener. As a cyclist and a gardener, I decided to turn my hand to some guerrilla gardening. I collaborated with a friend of mine, a photographer who helped out with some of the photos. One in here. For my project, I wasn't looking at gardening or even potholes. I was looking into the social media landscape and to see how that integrated with traditional media. So my gardens, they started popping up around East London. I'd head to Columbia Road markets on a Sunday morning and grab some cheap plants, and then through the week I'd make my little gardens on the pavement and occasionally on the end of dead-end streets, but mostly on pavement. And I started experimenting with a few crops, as you can see. So it all began late in 2009, and within a few months, my little gardens had made some big headlines. The Sun called me the Banksy of guerrilla gardening, and my little gardens made it onto the BBC News, to ITV News, into the Globe and Mail in Canada, MX in Sydney, Mumbai Mirror, goes on. I've been interviewed for German and French TV channels. It got to the point of, it was kind of absurd when I was heading off on a European summer holiday and I opened EasyJet in-flight magazine, and they're staring back at me in my little gardens. So what I thought I might discuss today was how my blog made the leap from a small, free little WordPress blog that anyone can set up, just sitting out there in the blogosphere getting a moderate amount of hits, to being featured in the international press, and how what I've learned from my experience might be able to be applied to your projects. What I'm going to talk about can be applied to whatever you're working on, I think. Maybe it's a band, a film, some street art, or a fashion label. Because guerrilla gardening's been around for years, and Richard Reynolds actually began guerrilla gardening in East London about 10 years ago, and the movement has had plenty of press over the years, so it's nothing completely new. Even the term guerrilla gardening is pretty much now just common vocab. Pothole gardening even has been around for a while, and the first reference I can find goes back to a school group in the US. So when I got a call from the first journalist about my project, which I was quite surprised about, it was not because I'd sent them a press release or I'd been calling them. They thought they had found me, and they thought they'd discovered me. And I think that discovery had a few key elements, and I think they were key to the project's success. So, firstly, I think my little gardens were quite unexpected. When you're walking down the street, the last thing you generally expect to find is a little garden looking up to you on the pavement, growing out of the, out of a pothole. And one of my favourite parts of the whole project has been watching people's reactions to my gardens. Everyone does a double take. Most people stop. Kids especially seem almost enchanted by them, and they begin asking questions. How did it get there? Why is it there? Who's doing this? And the best thing about it all is it makes people smile. Whether people think I'm a street artist or just plain nuts, it does make everyone smile, and it brightens up everyone's day. And my project has a point of difference. It's guerrilla gardening, but it's on a micro scale. I don't go for the biggest, the brightest, or the most colourful gardens. I create little moments of happiness that people discover across East London. My message is happiness. There's been so much doom and gloom in the economy. You know, the story really broke at the beginning of spring when people were ready for a happy story. You know, it wasn't about the economy, it wasn't about the election. You know, it gave people something else to think about. So I made it very easy for people to find my blog as well. For people, you know, who saw my gardens in the street, they can easily then search online and connect with my blog. You know, when you search for it, it comes up. It's that simple. You know, I connected with other bloggers who linked to my site, started tweeting about my escapades, and away it went. In effect, I'd created a brand. The Pothole Garden is a memorable name and had a few key images associated with it, thanks to the photographer I worked with, Alison Moore. The people who first found my blog were given the tools to share it very simply and easily. While the project had talkability, something for people to talk about, I'd also given them the ability to share it easily and quickly. Not only online, you know, through Facebook, but also offline through word of mouth and a name. You know, Malcolm Gladwell, I don't know if any of you have read The Tipping Point. You know, he talks about connectors, the people who know people and who are going to pass on your message. You know, they're the people you want to connect with, and they're going to be doing the hard work for you, promoting the project. So the project, you know, it had wide appeal and it was timely. When the blog really got popular was in spring earlier this year. You know, we'd had a tough winter and the issue turned into a political hotbed, and I was just somehow in the middle of it. I mean, I even had the Greens candidate asking me to come out and campaign with him. And potholes really annoy everyone. And after the, you know, heavy snow of a winter, they were on everyone's mind. So I thought I'd talk a little bit more about guerrilla marketing. You know, what is it exactly and how might you use it to your benefit? And almost by definition, I think that any guerrilla marketing project needs to rely on the idea and not the budget. You know, it's about creating something that's unexpected and unconventional that will build a buzz and it will really engage people. If your project is unique and thought-provoking, you're guaranteed to get much more of a response from people than, you know, if it's just run-of-the-mill. One of the most powerful marketing tools is word of mouth. Let your audience do the work for you. And make sure you give them the tools. You know, I remember being told this great story about some warehouse parties that used to happen in East London. And they're illegal and underground. You know, it's a bit of a cliche really, but this was a while ago. But it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? You know, how do you advertise an underground and illegal event, but not let the cops know what you're doing? So what they did, right, is they put up these A4 posters around shops in East London. And, you know, it was free and it was legal. But on the poster was a picture of a big purple elephant. And the poster read, "I've lost my purple elephant. Please call this number if you found it." So many people were just so damn intrigued about this purple elephant that they started calling this number. When you called the number, there was a recorded message with the details for the party. You know, I just think that's a really simple and clever way of getting your message out there. So Dirk's actually talked a lot about social media and he's much more of an expert than I am. So I'll skip through this quite quickly, but these are just some of my thoughts and how I've used social media to promote my projects. You know, and whatever project you're working on, you know, whether you're starting a small business or just promoting yourself to get a job, you know, it's going to include, you know, some element of social media. But I think that one thing that I've learned is social media isn't an exact science. Promoting yourself on social media isn't an exact science. But I think there are definitely certain things that you can do to help your project get exposure. I was once told that social media is all about creating a conversation with your audience. Well, for you to effectively promote yourself or your project, I think you need to make sure that you have a voice that people want to listen to. You need to have something interesting to say. Another great piece of advice that I was given is that social media is like the gym. A couple of minutes every once in a while is not going to help anyone. It's consistency is the key. You know, you've got to regularly update your Twitter, your blog, your Flickr, you know, it's all really key. I've talked about this, you know, you never revisit a blog that hasn't been updated for a month or two, do you? You just also need to have a consistent focus. If you have a Twitter account, for instance, that you use for personal tweets, like, you know, which pub you're heading to, what you're wearing, what you're drinking, etc., why not create a separate one, you know, a separate online profile for your project and draw in contacts that way. So it's also, I think, important to have your audience in mind when you're setting up your social networks. You know, who exactly do you want to find out about the project? You know, the people that are going to come to your gig, buy your products, look at your art, etc. And on that point about where you upload your art, the pictures that we took, I uploaded onto Flickr, and I wasn't actually aware of the settings that I set them on, so people use that picture all across, in magazines, right across the world, you know, in newspapers, and we didn't actually get paid a cent for it, so just be aware of that. And one other key, I think, about helping promote yourself or your project on social media is make sure you use the same handle across all networks, or a very similar handle. You know, create something unique so, you know, when people search for you, they can actually find you. So just some things to think about when you're promoting a business or your creative project. You know, while the tools, you know, that are at your fingertips including social media, they're changing rapidly. But I think a lot of the traditional marketing principles haven't really changed too much. And I thought maybe you know, I'll talk about a few of these principles as I think they're really relevant to any sort of guerrilla marketing campaign. You know, your message needs to be consistent. Your voice needs to stand out. You know, it needs to have the same themes and the same messages whenever and wherever it's heard. You know, your project needs to be unique. To make an impact, you need to think out of the box. And you need to build yourself a brand. Have a name that's memorable. Find some great images to go with your brand. It doesn't have to be a logo as such, but, you know, a great name that people will remember and be able to find on the net. And don't forget to define your target audience as well. Who do you want to find out about your project? Another one of my guerrilla marketing projects that I'm just getting underway. So a little bit of background. Hum2, it's a user-generated production music library and online community that we launched a few years ago. And what we're launching in the coming weeks is the Hum2 Bicycle Orchestra. And we are riding around East London playing Christmas carols on our bicycles. And you know, we're setting up these guerrilla gigs over December to try and promote the site and get the brand out there. And hopefully drive some more traffic to the site. And Hum2's tagline is, you know, Hum2 makes it only about the music. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, that's me. I'd just like to plug our show, by the way. Our exhibition, our Masters exhibition, it's called 63 Degrees, an angle on chaos. The course is MA Design Studies, and it'll be held at the Rochelle School in Shoreditch. And it kicks off on Tuesday, December the 7th. And I'll put the presentation on SlideShare. My Twitter's @Steve Wheen.